Hey guys, we are back with another episode of the On Season. You got a back-to-back. You caught us last night, and you catch us tonight. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday evening. We are, of course, live with you guys on YouTube and X. So come on over to YouTube, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe and like button. I don't know about you, Jason. I'm still kind of getting over last night's fun episode we had with Doug Lee. It was a great mock draft. The board didn't exactly fall our way, but it was fun to do. Kind of gives us different scenarios that can kind of happen. So make sure you guys check that episode we had out last night. But tonight, the focus is finally we are on the skill positions, the sexy positions, the positions the Dolphins and their head coach love, and my partner, Jason Sarney, loves, the wide receivers. We're going to get into about 15 guys with, of course, our in-depth player cards and prospect overviews. And then before all that, we're going to get into the Jaxson Dart stuff that popped up today on social media. Is it real? Is there anything behind it? Or is it just the usual around this time when the smoke screen really happens? And then there's a couple top 30 visit guys at a position of need that I think we should mention. So we'll get into all that. And I'll shut up now. Without further ado, bringing in my partner in crime, Mr. Jason Sarney. Jason, how are you?
Good, George, and thanks for everybody for joining us. And yeah, this is a show I love. We're in the skill positions now. We took care of, the meatier, the trenchier positions, and obviously the defensive backs. But now we got some skill wide receivers that we'll talk about. We got well over a dozen tonight.
Yeah, and shout out to Finn Sammy's in the house. How you doing, man? Everybody go check him out. He does great work. I've been on his show, so check him out. Thanks, everybody who's joining us. All right, let's start off the top here with the Jackson's Dart stuff. Kind of, I don't know. I'll pull up it's better if I probably pull up the tweet that happened here. This is from the NFL Notify account. They have 60,000 followers. How legit they are, Jason? I don't know if you're familiar with this account, but obviously I'm not. You can see I don't subscribe to it. But they wrote, there's been one somewhat surprising team to have shown interest in Jaxson Dart. The team, dun dun dun, the Miami Dolphins. Jason, is this just another case of smoke season? I'll put it to you this way. There's been a lot of noise about this particular player. I can see why the Dolphins, are they interested in him? Do they like him? Probably. He comes from that RPO offense, that one read offense there. And he's got quick release. He's got short to intermediate accuracy. There's some athleticism. There's some arm strength. There's things that you see. To me, he's not a round one player. He's a second round player for me. Could he get overdrafted by, let's say, somebody like the Saints at 9? Sure. But the rumblings coming out of the owners' meeting that he could go as high as 2 to Cleveland, 3 to the Giants, meaning he's a second quarterback taken. This smells a lot like the Mac Jones stuff to me. Do the Dolphins probably like him in the building? Sure. But you're telling me at 13, I think there's no way this happens, Jason.
Look, nothing against the player. It's not the right situation. It's not the right time. You have a guy in Tua Tagovailoa who, listen, I know people might think this could be the last year, doubtful that he's going to continue on for many, many years, but the hope of it is if they draft a quarterback in the first round, it's Greer admitting he was wrong fully, on top of bringing in a quarterback like Zach Wilson for competition. It just creates a zero level of confidence to me, and I think that it would set the development of any team backwards to have a quarterback controversy with essentially a three-headed monster of first-round quarterbacks, let alone the economics of it for a quarterback in the top 15. No, it's not for me. Yes, it's smokescreen season. But you know what? If the Dolphins create that interest, or if anyone, and a team says, look, we have to make a trade, that pick might become a little bit more valuable if it is a potential quarterback. So they're in a good spot for the value of the pick, but I don't think that they should make that pick in the situation that they're in now. I think it would create an absolute disaster.
Like, if you have a discussion at 48, like you think this player's that good, and the quarterback position, look, we have the injuries. Zach Wilson, we can't rely on him. We like maybe the upside there. Okay, I can see the argument if we're at the table at 48. But Jason, what it looks like is the Jets love him at 7. I'm still not buying all this top 10. Dan Orlovsky of ESPN said he's a guy he doesn't see making out of the top 10. There's a lot of noise around it. But again, I go back to the Mac Jones stuff. Remember him coming out that 21 draft was Zach Wilson draft that he was going to be top. He's going third overall. I never believed that. I'll believe this guy being a second, third pick, even a top 10 pick when I see it. But it's a bad quarterback draft. There is some things to like about the player, right? I'm not saying there's not some development upside here with Jaxson Dart. But at 13, if they're Chris Grier's doing this or this got out there to benefit the Dolphins, like you said, which it will, because that means the more quarterbacks that go in front of us, the better. That drops non-quarterback position players to us. I see that as a benefit. Are you buying the rumors of him being in that top 3, top 5, or top 10 discussion?
In terms of discussion or team showing interest, sure. This is the time to do that, to do your due diligence. Will it happen? Probably not going to be putting that chip on the table that it will happen. I think he's a later, maybe mid or late first round pick for a team that could be savvy and jump up there, But I think there's good enough skill position players and good enough defensive players and offensive linemen, defensive linemen that teams would benefit picking over a guy like Jaxson Dart in the top 15, Dolphins included.
Yeah. I could see like the Saints doing it at 9.
You need a quarterback.
I mean, we've seen. This is not the first time we're going to see a quarterback get pushed up, so that wouldn't surprise me, right? Like you said, but I just don't think it's realistic. It's funny, these things. You guys, you're going to hear a lot of this stuff coming out now between now and the draft, and it's only going to get heavier until the draft comes, and we'll really find out on draft night. That's what makes the draft fun. But a lot of this is going to come out. Now, to be fair, Jason, we mentioned in the last night's show, and next week we'll get into the quarterbacks, and that's when we'll really get into this player, Jaxson Dart, and among Cam Ward and Sanders and all these other guys. But they've been sniffing around the quarterback market. That's the truth. But usually more in that 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round range. Is it more likely? Do you think they are going to take a quarterback now? Just staying on this topic.
I do see. The thing is, yes, I agree that they should have a quarterback, but right now, in a perfect world, that quarterback is to fight for the backup role with Zach Wilson. If you're drafting a quarterback day 1, or if you're drafting a quarterback in the top 2 picks, you're drafting a quarterback to compete with Tua for the starting job, which I'm not saying I'm completely against. I'm not a completely Tua near where I'm masked by his shortcomings. He's a good quarterback that when things go right in this offense, things work. And I hope that it develops to the point where he can continue to get to his highest potential.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen that yet consistently. We've touched on it. But if you draft a guy in your top 2 picks, it's saying that you don't think that this is your guy for the future. And I think it creates an absolute disaster for an upcoming season.
Yeah, I think this is not the right draft to draft a quarterback this high. Would you consider him at 48?
Again, it's in that top 2 picks. You need. Is he the best player available there? No, probably not. And he's on your roster immediately as your 3rd string quarterback. Has to beat Zach Wilson, then has to beat Tua. Do you want him to beat Tua? And then you got a quarterback controversy with 2 or 3 guys that maybe 2 can't have max trade value. It could be a massive predicament.
Yeah, I don't mind the quarterback competition. This team's been afraid of it and allergic to it. I don't mind overloading the quarterback position. I don't mind it. But I got to believe in the player.
There's way too many needs.
I'm going to tell you, way too many needs. And the team that takes this guy in the top 10 will have a new GM pretty soon. I'm pretty confident about that. This is the kind of move that gets you fired. I think there's 0 chance the Dolphins consider it at 13. But, we got to put that out there. It's a quarterback. It's stuff out there. We got to, it's a lot of smoke. I think me and Jason agree this is smoke screen season. This is a lot of smoke.
Interest is calling an agent, is asking a question.
Yeah.
That one question is an agent. You go to dinner with a quarterback? Yeah, I'm interested.
Or a scout.
You're dating. You're not getting married.
True. Great point. Or you're just going on a date, So a scout from the Eagles, talk to a scout from the Dolphins. Yeah, we really like Jaxson Dart. We like him a lot in our building. So what? You know what I mean? I'm sure they like Cam Ward in the building, right? It doesn't matter. They like a lot of players. It's like this stuff. It's like this misconception of, they went to this guy's pro day or he's coming in for a visit, which we'll talk about. Man, they meet with a ton of players. Just because they met with a player doesn't mean they're drafting him.
This is why the draft is at the end of April, not the beginning of March. Right. It's a long process.
History. Go look at the past drafts. Google their meetings. Google all this stuff. All we heard was Xavier Worthy last year, smiling Mike McDaniel. What happened? They took Chop Robinson. They passed on Xavier Worthy. He was on the board. So that a lot of the time is don't read too much in that. They're going to meet with a lot of players. Anything to add on these Jaxson Dart rumors? You
Nah.
agree, right? Yeah.
100%.
Smoke season. All right, let's. The one thing I did want to talk about, Jason, is a couple guys at a position of need coming here on the top 30 visit. Shamar Turner, defensive tackle out of Texas A&M, and the guy I really like. And the more I look into it, Alfred Collins out of Texas, mammoth, 6'6", 330 pounds, athletic, older prospect, plug and play day one, starting probably next to Zach Sealer, elite run defender. The more I thought about it, right, and I went back to our scouting. We did the defensive tackle show again. Go back in our history of our on-season shows. We got we got all the trenches done. Go back and look at that. I said, the more and more I could see this guy as a fit at 48, because we talk about this draft has to be a home run, and we got to fill guys who can play right away. He's a mammoth guy, kind of like that Calais Campbell length, not quite as tall, but like a really good run defender and power player. Turner's more of a tweener. Out of the two, I like Collins. What are your thoughts on their visiting? And is this a guy you like at 48? Which one of these guys you like better?
The Collins, I would love at 48. I don't know that he gets there per se. There's 4 or 5 of these defensive tackles that I would really love, whether it's first or second round. If they can get out, and Turner's a good player. He has a propensity to penalties and bonehead plays, but got to be right in between the ears, I think, there. But for your top 2 picks, Collins could be immediate, day one, no brainer, whether it's second round or if they move back into the late 20s and get him. But yeah, he's been shooting up the board, certainly. Collins, for me, is definitely in play and would be a great pick.
Yeah, I'm
13, I think that's too early. Again, no. Even I think Kenneth Grant at 13 is good, but too early. Maybe you could trade down and get him. But same idea. Either way, if they get one of those top 4 defensive tackles, great.
I just like Collins a lot because I think people don't realize how big this guy is. Like, he's a legit 6'6", 330, and ran really well. I forget what he ran at the combine, but it was in the low 5, like 505 or something crazy like that at that size. And he's just a really good power. He plays with rare power for that position and is really good run defender. And again, I think he's a guy. It's an immediate impact, and they need it. If you can't do Kenneth Grant and you want to go safety, you want to go corner. You want to go whatever, Tyler Warren, wherever you want to go. Jaxson Dart. No, I'm kidding. Wherever you want to go, you come back at 48. You get into I feel good about him starting day one. So yeah, Turner, a little bit of a tweener
project. More of a project.
More of a 5-tech tweener, 3-tech. I'm leaning more, but they're bringing guys in. They brought a kid from Oklahoma, so it looks like they're addressing this position. All right. You ready to get into your don't get too excited now. You ready to get into them?
I'm ready to roll, man.
You ready to roll? This is what Jason's been waiting for, the wide receiver position. Let's get into this now here. All right, let's start.
All right. You start with your guy.
Yeah, I'll start. Okay. He's interesting. And I if I look down, I got my notepad full of notes. I mean, it's crazy. I'm going to take a picture and tweet it out. Excuse me if I do look down at times. But all right, Ted McMillan, I've been a fan of his. I will say this. The 23 tape was better. I cooled down a little bit on him, Jason. The more and more, like, you get a perception of a player, but then when you really dive into the film, it's like have you ever you admire a player from afar, but your favorite team trades for him, and you see him every day, and he's an everyday player, like he plays for the Heat or the Marlins. You see him every day. You're like, yeah, you know what? I'm starting to see more of the flaws. It could be me overthinking some things, but the one thing I can't shout out to the dive bar. Sorry. FaceTime in the wife. No problem. Hey, Bobby. If you guys haven't seen what they're doing over there, Raheem Mostert, Xavier Howard, they support this channel. We appreciate
Generational.
We support them. You guys make sure you check them out. And whoever's watching now, come on over here to YouTube. Hit that subscribe, hit that like button. Help support this channel. And also go to the dive bar. Make sure you do that with those guys over there, and also Fins TV in the chat with them. All right. So Ted McMillan. The one thing about him is I'm going to explain. Sometimes I like to get a little technical and nerdy. I want to explain when we talk about X receiver and Z receiver, right? So this guy would be considered probably your X. An X receiver is the boundary guy, usually the guy who's larger, more physically imposing, who's, kind of like a Devontae Parker, to give you a Dolphins kind of, he's not the best X receiver, but kind of to give you an idea, who's good at one-on-one on the line of scrimmage, is able to face that press coverage. He's kind of the alpha, I guess, receiver. Not with the Dolphins. Their alpha is more like the next position, the Z receiver. Yeah, Tyreek's a rare Z receiver who's a legitimate number one threat. He lines up off the line of scrimmage. You can use this player in motion. Use these smaller, fast guys so they can be in motion and get a free release and not have to face a jam. And those are kind of like what we have here in Miami. They're typically called like the move receivers, right? So, and then you have the slot, who we all know what the slot is, in between the wide receiver and the lined up between the line of scrimmage and the tackle, who does the work in the middle of the field, which, Z and slot can kind of overlap a little bit where they end up lining up. But what I think the Dolphins, if they're going to go for a receiver, they need probably a true X, or they can just duplicate what they have and kind of keep their system. But I just want to give everybody a little bit of a breakdown on if I say X or Z, kind of what that means. I don't know if I explained it well enough, Jason, but
no, you did a great job. You did an absolute great job. There are a couple of these receivers that are just boundary receivers. There are a couple that are just slot receivers. And then you sprinkle into the guys who kind of do it all. And Tet is like that overpowering slot, as you say, or big slot. He is an outside receiver who could be a very dangerous slot receiver. It's kind of en vogue these days that these 6'3", 6'4" wide receivers are, playing in the slot as well and succeeding.
Yeah.
So, and he's a big time yards yards per catch guy, 16.1 career in college. So he's a big play guy, very good route tree. All the routes he could run, he's smooth as can be when you watch him.
Yeah. He's the thing with him is like he can play the X, he can play the Z, he can play the slot. Like he has wide receiver one traits, outside receiver one traits. And like you said, what impressed about him is for his size, and he's very smooth running his routes. His ball skills, though, are what kind of set him apart. I believe. Where did I read? He's over the last 2 years, his total drop percentage is under 5%. That's a great number. So he's reliable. Now he's big, but he doesn't play like really strong. Like there's some Drake London in him. Think kind of like that. If you blink and everything works out, you get a little Mike Evans, a little bit. If he develops more, but really good in finding the zones. He's a smart player, 6'4" with the ball production and ball skill. I think he's in that range at 13 to maybe 20, 25. I've cooled a little bit on him, but still, I don't know if he's the first receiver taken, though, Jason.
It's funny you mentioned that because I think you're absolutely right in that assessment. He kind of went a little south in the progression, not much. Like he was like a top 6 pick. Now he could be in the top 15. So whether it's him moving down or other players really moving up, and you said there's a couple of receivers we're talking about that are shooting up mock draft boards. So is he a home run for the number one wide receiver taken? I think he's the favorite, but I don't think it's a surefire. Of course, there's someone who can play cornerback as well, so you can call him the top wide receiver in Travis Hunter, right?
Yeah. We threw Travis Hunter in the corners. That's where I think he belongs. But Travis Hunter,
So there's a technicality on who the first one will be.
Yeah. Good evening to everybody in the chat. Michael, Mango, again, Finn, Sammy, thank you. So everybody in the chat for joining us. All right, you ready to move on from Ted McMillan?
Yeah, no, we
anything you want to add? I mean, where do you think he goes?
Where do I think he goes? Oh man,
is it like his range is starts right around with the Dolphins pick? Dallas at 12?
I think it could. Yeah, I was going to say it could be Dallas. Dallas would covet a receiver to put opposite, Lamb. I think Jerry Jones would love to get a highlight reel kind of player. That's the kind of pick that would, I don't think he would get by 15, but I think
there's a good chance they have a shot on it. I don't think they'll do it. I think the NWI acquisition in the offseason, again, let's not make like Nick Westbrook a kind is like this great player, but like he lessened the need for the big kind of wide receiver. But I mean, this is a guy like if you want to change the style a little bit, the personnel package. I mean, if you made a move off Tyreek Hill and you wanted to change Waddle and this guy, I mean, I don't see them going wide receiver at 13, and I don't think particularly this guy. But yeah, there's some guys I think if they were going to take one, like maybe the next guy that I know you like. You ready to move on here?
Let's do it. Yep.
They lost a lot. They may trade up. I think if anything, they're going to trade down, Michael. All right, dive bar's back, so we can move on here. All right, you've liked him more and more. I'm going to let you start with this guy.
Outstanding athlete. This is like a yak monster. He could be a punt returner. Took a touchdown to the house a couple of years ago. Really just explosive player, absolute playmaker. I think he could be an absolute stud for any fantasy owner out there. I don't know if the Dolphins pull the trigger on him, but he certainly has gotten, his fair share of publicity in the mock drafts. He's shooting up boards.
Yeah. Okay. So the thing about Luther Burden, I call him like a human joystick after the catch. His ability to change directions. You know what it reminds me of? Somebody mentioned this, and I kind of thought of it. You remember what we thought Kadarius Toney was going to be? That kind of yak, change direction, plant his foot, kind of like that Peter Warwick kind of change of direction ability. This guy's like a more polished Kadarius Toney. Like he's a better player, more polished, and without the other stuff. I know it's not a name you want to mention, but like when Kadarius Toney was coming out, he's this type of playmaker. Like you put on the highlight film, and it's like you're playing a video game. He's a scheme versatile weapon. He doesn't have a ton of experience on the outside, Jason. He's more of a slot weapon, Z guy, but he has the traits physically to move on the outside. He just doesn't have the experience, but he's competitive. He's tough. And, man, his run after the catch ability, like I know Mike McDaniel loves this guy, right?
And that's what I think his ability is attractive in getting up the board. He's mocking in the back end of the first round, but I think that could be another play for trading back. I would love the Dolphins to trade back and obtain more picks. I don't know if wide receivers are a top-end weapon, but if there is that Tyreek Hill rumor, which is doubtful, it's a viable replacement, but that's a doubtful situation.
Yeah, you never know what's true with that whole Tyreek stuff, but
if they want to replicate that type of a player, explosive.
He's in conversation for one of the top receivers taken again in that 10 to 20, 25 range, something like that. It's and the Dolphins are always going to look at wide receiver. This offense is primarily based on the wide receiver's ability to get to a spot and separate. That's so crucial for this offense. So look, Tyreek's in this wrong side of 30. There's issues. Will he even be here? Max probably this last year. Jalen Waller can never stay healthy. So you can't rule this position out at some point in the draft. Anything else on Luther?
Yeah. 10 picks. There's 10 picks. It's just what they preface early on.
Anything else on Luther Burden before we move on?
No.
All right. So when we talk about first wide receiver taken, watch out with him.
He is the one that's been absolutely shooting up the boards. That's who I should say has been taking the biggest peak. He was like a day 2 pick, and now he's in the top 20. So you could take the reins on him now. All
right. So if you really wanted to replace Tyreek Hill in that kind of threat, this is like the perfect guy, right? If you want to get as close, obviously he's not Tyreek Hill, but elite top blazing speed, 4.29. But not only that, the ability to combine that, kind of like Tyreek, to run the routes and change speeds, creates so much separation. It's one thing to be fast, but to be fast, change speeds and accelerate quickly, and run crisp routes, that creates the kind of separation that Matthew Golden creates. Jason, I think he's a guy who's in play to be the first wide receiver taken. Really, I mean, he's a true deep threat. Movement Z receiver.
That, and you also have to sprinkle in his kick returning ability. He took 2 to the house. He has 28 kick returns in his college career, 25.8 yard per return average. So who knows if this new rule is going to favor a player like that. But, if someone can crack that formula and he's a guy who could just burst, yeah, he's a two-faced player who could help out a team.
He's a Houston transfer. Guys with this kind of speed and route running ability, this is something they would love. Fits exactly in that offense because he's a guy who can get to a spot and create separation. Because we've seen guys who run in the 4.3s, but they don't run the routes. They're not crisp. They don't create as much separation. He's that rare guy, and it's 10-yard splits under 1.5. I love him. I think he really is in play. I mean, I don't know who's going to be the first wide receiver taken, but I think he's a sleeper to be that. Let's say
probably 3 or 4 candidates.
Yeah.
He has a Chris Olave comp to give anybody a visual.
Die Bar, they got 2 studs coming up. Yeah, ooh. You guys, you already know to check these boys out. We got to get some of the Dive Bar guys on either before the draft or after the draft. Bobby and his boys, but yeah, check them out. They got some. For sure. I know one of the guys. I can't say it, but maybe one of them is in this. I don't know, in this discussion here in the top 15 of the wide receivers. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if it's still the same guy. All right. Anything else on Golden?
Yeah, look, we can move on.
All right. Next guy, Emeka. But you want to start or you want me to go?
Go for it.
All right. So I like him. Don't love him. I know I've seen him like end of round 1, round 2. He's a tough, reliable receiver. Like he comes in right away, run routes, does everything really well. He tracks the ball well. He's a former baseball player, right? And former outfielder. So when on tape, you kind of look and say, man, he tracks really well. It's almost like an outfielder in baseball. Well, he played baseball in high school, was really good at it. He's a really good outfielder. He's a slot, to me, a primary physical slot receiver, has enough size to play on the outside. I don't know if he's a true vertical threat, Jason. Good speed, not great speed, but I like how tough he is. After the catch, he's not afraid to go through the middle and take a hit. And his route technique is really well. He changes the tempos, manipulates kind of the soft zones in the defense. Solid wide receiver. You know what you're getting. Really good prospect. Less effective on the outside than he's on the inside, but I think he can do it. I like him. Don't love him. Late round 1, you could sell me on. Early round 2 with Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah, absolutely. Tough guy at the catch. He's going to make the contested catch. Good hands. Could really find his way into zone coverage and make plays after the catch. Explosive playmaker. Yeah, I think he would be a great slot player. He kind of comps out to, Ohio State. Number one, you love the receivers from Ohio State. That's like number one, any wide receiver coming out of Ohio State the last 10, 20 years, 30 years. Fantastic. So, yeah, late first, early second. I love the baseball comp because you said it perfectly. That ball tracking, you could tell. And, he makes that catch after the contact and not afraid.
Yeah, it's very evident when you watch him, that ability. And I'm going to tell you, my nephew plays baseball and he's going to high school. And sometimes I watch them, like, how do they track these balls out there? Like, I can't read them. And so, like, I can imagine how much that really helps. He's a guy who could contribute right away. I don't know, he would change up the wide receiver room of the Dolphins a little bit, give them something they don't have, the more physicality and some decent size at that position. But 48, if he's there, you might think about it. I don't know if he makes it to 48. All right, you ready to move on to
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna let you. This is Man Crush season. This is your son, Jason Sarney, right?
Oh, come on. I think he's everybody's man crush. I think ever since, look, everyone knows that there's a tragedy and the story behind what happened to his brother. There's that heartfelt sympathy I have for him. But in terms of on the field, he's one of the toughest players you could find. He plays kind of almost like a basketball player, boxing out guys to get position and uses his body to make his catches. He has the greatest quote I've ever heard from a draft prospect where he calls 50-50 balls, 75-25 balls. He's that confident. So he was a guy that was like on everybody's draft board before the All-Star games in the Senior Bowl, like round 4 or 5. Look, I'm going to steal Jack Bash. No, it's second round city. Maybe even the Eagles would draft him. You know what I'm saying? 32. Yeah. That would make sense for a team like them to get a tough-minded player like him. But I am all about Jack Bash as a pro. He's going to be a stud chain mover kind of guy, as you say. I think he's in play anywhere from like 28, and I don't think he gets past 50. Maybe 60 at the latest.
Yeah, you said basically everything I was going to say about him. Like the ability, like the basketball rebounder and body positioning that he has on the jump balls is real unique. He's a chain mover, man. And he runs route with efficiency. He doesn't waste a lot of motion. And he's tough to bring down. He's tough as all heck to bring down after the catch. He's somebody that I think Tua would really like, right? He went to LSU, and he had like 43 receptions as a freshman. Transferred to T. So he had the ability and talent coming out of high school to go to LSU.
He broke out senior year in TCU for sure.
Yeah. He only has 1 year of production, right? Yeah, that's the concern. But killed the Senior Bowl, was the MVP. You mentioned the great story.
Won the game.
Scotty says he reminds him of Puka. Okay, I can live. I'll take that. Right? He won't last whatever Puka was, 5th round pick or something like that.
He'll find a spot in the zone. He's not the fastest guy, but he can make plays.
He understands how to get open, and he gets open when it matters, right? That comes up on tape, and that came up in the Senior Bowl. That's what you like to see.
I've read Romo Dunze, comp, Cedric Tillman. guys
Yeah,
like that.
I could see that. The Dunze kind of makes sense. Scotty said Puka.
This is a team captain, though. I mean, this is like a future team captain. This is probably a leader on the field. I don't care about the 1 year production.
Yeah.
The eye test, is A++.
Yeah, and I think 48, you probably have to snag him if he's there if you wanted him, right?
Again, there are 4 or 5 positions that are of paramount importance, but in a normal 7-pick draft,
sometimes you got to go. Listen,
Dolphins got 10 picks
again. Jason, the wide receiver position is crucial for this team and this offense. And let's not act like I like the signing we had in free agency, but let's not we added a Pro Bowler there, and let's not we have this Tyreek Hill situation hanging over our heads. This is a position you got to replenish all the time because what they asked Tua to do in the quick hit offense, if we're going to keep that same offense, you got to have guys who get open and know how to get open. I think he really, even though he's not the fastest guy, he gets open. He knows how to get open. I said he gets open when it matters. Everybody who's watching, anywhere else, please, guys, come on over to YouTube. Hit that little bell. It takes a second. Subscribe to the channel. Come on over to YouTube. It really helps us here. We're breaking down the wide receivers. We're about halfway through it. Let's move on from Jack Beck here, and let's go to we're going to another one here, boys.
Another one. This is one of my favorite guys. He's got like everything you want: size, speed, ability to go up and get it. He is an outside receiver who could be an absolute killer slot player if needed. He kind of reminds me of Nico Collins in like he's like a day 2 pick. Nico was like I think an 89th overall pick.
Yeah,
this is where the value is. He's shooting up the boards as well. Really love his athleticism. 4.47 40, 39-inch vertical. One of the top athletic performers at the combine. Can play anywhere. As you said, the different positions. He can play X, Z, slot. He's a versatile threat. 6'4", can get downfield. Some say his route tree needs a little refinement. I think the routes that he's great at, like, those long post routes, he can just dominate. But he probably could use an extensive route tree pro refinement. But what he does well, he does very, very well.
Yeah.
Outstanding hands.
You had, I'll talk about the hands here. You had a comp. I got another comp for you, Alan Lazard.
Okay. All right.
Some size. Yeah.
I mean, this guy's got a 6'7" wingspan. His
Let me ask you this question.
30,
what's the gap between Ted McMillan and Jaden Higgins?
40 picks, probably.
No, for 40, you, though, as a player.
Me?
Is it 40 pick difference?
I think Ted's route tree, he's smooth across all the board of the route tree. I mean, like I said, what he does well, he does. Oh, my God. But the dive bar, you got.
Come on.
If you got good guests coming up, the way you got Savion coming up. Don't worry,
you know me better than that. Come on, brother.
We need to do one of your guys first. But
I need the dive bar to do some more. Get people over here to the channel. Do your work, Twitter. Do your.
But listen, he's a guy that's going to gain yards downfield and then catch it. He's not going to catch it and then take the yak. You know what I mean? His yak is a little less than some other of the wide receivers here, but he will get down the field and get you production, go up and get it.
Yeah.
Big body and powerful wide receiver. That's what you need if you're the Dolphins. You said the Nick Westbrook signing was great, but this is a guy who could in a year and a half be opposite Jalen Waddle and sometimes play the slot.
Yeah. I see. Here's what I see with him. Plug and play wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
I think his ceiling is wide receiver 2. Again, we talk about X. He's an X boundary receiver for me. The thing with him is he's real smooth. He's a long strider, so you kind of look at him and you don't realize maybe how fast he's moving. And when I put it on here, the urgency and he kind of looks sometimes a little bit he lacks this second gear, right? And sometimes I think when you get a guy who's like a long strider and doesn't it's like a baseball outfielder. I remember an outfielder when I was a kid, Devon White. Devo was a great center fielder, but he looked like he was, or Bernie Williams, right? He looked, probably too old to go back some of our viewers, but Jason, right? Or no? Bernie Williams especially, right? So they look so smooth because they're striding, but they get to the ball. He's kind of had that in him, but he's got a great catch radius, like you said. Good, strong, natural hands. He had his hands, I think, was he the one? Yeah, he had on 350 targets, a 3% drop rate. So to me, he's a plug and play wide receiver 2. you're looking at him round 2, round 3, Jason, you say?
100%. I mean, 100%. I think that's like a top 75 for the player. I say this for a lot. This is where we're living
It's
right
tough.
now.
It's tough. Yeah, we're living in
that round 2.
Yeah. Day 2
sweet spot with a lot of these guys.
Yeah, because he played his first 2 years at Eastern Kentucky too. So, again, a guy who also is not the strongest guy, even though he's 214 pounds. So I like to get him in the weight room. I think he can be have some development as a pro. I can see like Green Bay taking him. I can also see Green Bay taking the next guy we're going to talk about, his teammate, Jason. That's Jalen Noel.
He's probably been making a little bit more waves even than Higgins. This is a guy who dominated the combine too from an athletic standpoint. I think he was the top bench guy. Verticals off the charts. Slot guy. He's a slot guy. He's going to be an extremely good slot player.
Vertical deep threat in the slot. Not just a slot guy.
Yeah, and he's going to be a phenomenal player. I think someone's going to take him, I think, earlier than people expected. And, of course, a special teams weapon, too.
Yeah, he was a special teams. I think he made the Big 12, like, special teams first team or something like that. Return weapon. His ability to sink in hips. What impressed me when I watched him is his ability to sink the hips and plant and drive back to the ball. And that he's got good enough speed. He ran faster than I thought he would at 4.39. I didn't kind of see 4.39 speed, but I'm interested to see, do you think his teammate, who would go first here? I think they're going to go similar.
I think Noel's going to go first. I think Noel's going to go
speed,
higher.
Right?
Yeah.
And the special teams.
And the specialty of the slot that he, provides. Yeah, I do think he will eventually go. He's 41.5 inch vertical to go with the strength and the speed. Yeah, I think he's going to go a little bit above him.
Yeah, not
they can be very close together.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll be close.
Right.
I don't think they'll be too far apart, but like it's an interesting thing having teammates to go in that similar. They had I don't know how they weren't better, right? Iowa State with the all right,
you put some outstanding quarterbacks to these guys, and they're going to go.
Yeah, they with good quarterback play. I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. Scotty, how you doing? Jonathan.
Hey, Jonathan.
Of course, Ivar, everybody in the chat. Come on over wherever you're watching. Come over to YouTube. Help support the channel. Smash that like and subscribe button. All right. Chris Route Runner. He does struggle with his size. The high point stuff and the 50-50 stuff. You would expect with the guy his size, but some guys play above that. He's kind of just average, and he'll drop some easy passes at times, but his short area quickness, sudden burst, much more different than his teammate Jaden Higgins. It's like it's night and day, the two. It's apple and oranges. So it'd be interesting, a little thing to watch during the draft, which one of these teammates kind of go first. So
what I love about Noel too, he's a 4-year guy at Iowa State, and his progression and everything had just gone north consistently. I mean, it's almost like just a company just showing great return year after year. He has a consistent growth in every metric as a target. So yeah, I mean, if he lasts, see, the thing is about a lot of these guys, if the Dolphins make a move back in the first round and they obtain a pick in between 48 to 98, that is literally sweet spot for a luxury pick. And to me, that would be a receiver, a tight end. But these guys, a lot of them are going to be in that 25 to 70 range. A lot of them.
Yeah.
The runs are going to happen.
Like Dive Bar says, third round is he'd be a guy who fit. Again, a motion Z receiver can come out of deep. They like their Z receivers to be deep threats. You know what I mean? They're not just the quick intermediate guys. So in this offense, so yeah, you mentioned Jonathan. How you doing? Shout out. You mentioned Andrew Makuba. Yeah, we had the safety show. We're big fans of his. Especially Jason's a big fan of his. Playmaking safety, plays a lot bigger than his size. Yeah, when I got in his tape, and he's only a lean frame, but he plays a lot bigger than his size. He's a guy I like more and more as I watch. Amon St. Brown, okay. Yeah, he has that tough competitive edge too. All right. Moving on. I'll touch on him.
Yeah, go for it.
So Jalen Rose is the guy who's moving up. He's an interesting player. He's from Utah State. He's a former basketball player, late bloomer, right? When I watched him, he's funny. I watched him. I go, dang, I see some Deebo Samuel here. And then I go back. What I always say this: I do my film work. Then I like to go to the main guys and look at the reports and see how I compare. The first thing was there's some Deebo Samuel in him. And I couldn't agree more. Physical slot guy. All right. The level of competition against is concerning, but he's a playmaker. Explosive straight line speed, body control, really tough to bring down, like almost like a running back. He struggles some, against press. But again, once he develops more and gets to the NFL, he hasn't played against the level of competition, but he's just a dynamic. There's some guys you put on tape, and they're just dynamic playmakers, and that's him. And we're talking Deebo Samuel. Mike McDaniel lost him in that building, Jason.
Very good yard after catch guy. He a couple of years back had 15 touchdowns for Utah State, so he's got that big play in him. He can't even handle outside duties too. You can move him around, but guys, versatile. One of those guys that you can slap that multi.
Yeah, he's not married. He's not married to the slot. You know what I mean?
A career at Utah. His career collegiately 15.2 yards per catch. So he can make a big play consistently.
I agree. I agree with the Scotty here. The X receivers we talked about. We broke down what the difference is. Those alpha guys.
Are those out there?
We went through some. I think we got some coming up. Anything else on Jalen Rose? Is a level of competition concern you?
You know what? This day and age, no, I don't think so. I think that there's eye test, there's skill. If you like a guy, you insert him in the NFL, they could succeed. We've seen plenty of stories like that. You look at last year. Kenyon Mitchell was a first-round drafted cornerback, one of the best in the league from Toledo. You know what I mean? So I don't really care about small schools with the transfer portal these days. Who knows? There's talent all over the place.
All right, moving on. All right, let me take this.
You take Bond. You love this kid, and I know.
Yeah. So the thing with Bond is okay. So I forgot he played for Alabama. He played in Alabama in 22 and 23. Totally forgot. So I went to his tape, Texas tape, obviously the most recent. I go, man, this looks like Jalen Waddle, really a clone. Then I go to the Alabama tape, and he wears 17, and he looks like Jalen Waddle. Top end speed, elusive in the open field. He was used. The funny thing about him is he was used. I think he was underutilized at Texas. He was utilized more of as a decoy. I think you get this guy in the NFL. You get this guy in the Dolphins offense.
Yeah, don't look at his stats.
Yeah,
don't look at that. He's averaged 33 catches a season, his career. Don't look at stats.
I've seen this guy rising. I've even some late firsts for him. 48, I wouldn't hate this. I'm telling you, you get him with Mike McDaniel in this offense, you basically have he's not Jalen Waddle. Why? Because he's not going to go as high as that because he didn't have the production of a Jalen Waddle, right? The ball production at Alabama wasn't as good a player as Jalen in college, but they're very similar, Jason. I mean, very change of direction. I think there's untapped potential here with him. I'm very curious to see where he goes. He's a player I'm keeping my eye on. Big fan of his.
He's the 32nd overall pick and a trade back in the latest NFL.com draft. I mean, he's fluctuating on the board for sure, and I think it's because of that statistical lack of production. But when you put on the tape, the eye test, his ability, I love his yards after catch ability. I saw another comp for Terry McLaurin, which is not standard.
That works.
Comp.
That works.
And if you can say something in between Waddle and McLaurin, my God, sign me up if it's a late first round or early second.
Yeah.
Again, don't know if it's Miami's sweet spot for a receiver.
I know.
But someone's going to get a good player here.
Yeah, it's where do you see, how much do you value the lack of, it's like Chop Robinson, right? The lack of production. But again, Chop was kind of used as a decoy too on his, he was getting a lot of pressures and creating stuff for other guy. This guy was used as a decoy. It's how do you believe when you bring him to the NFL, it was just that he was underutilized and there's more there? Or what's the reason? You could get a gem here of a guy who probably should have went 20 more spots higher than you take him. But there's also the bust potential because there's a lack of production. But, man, I like him, Jason.
He's versatile. He can play the slot, play the Z if you want to get back into your technicalities.
Get him in the motion. Again, with Dolphins love. They love their best receivers are Z receivers. Their alpha receivers are coming from the Z position.
Sorry to say this too. He is a coveted track star back in the day in high school. So the Dolphins love them in track stars. So
I love me some track stars.
He is fast and plays great.
Oh, we took Gunnar Helm. We took him in the mock draft yesterday.
Don't we do our own
Jonathan.
special? Yep.
Yeah, I got him confused with Jaxson Hawes. I always get these two confused, but he's still a really good blocker. Don't get me wrong, Gunnar Helm. But I got him confused for a second with Jaxson Hawes. I always get those two guys confused for some reason. But yeah, we took Gunnar Helm, tough as all be, and I do like Gunnar Helm's ability as far as a blocker. He has some nasty blocks on tape. Check it out against Michigan. But one of the best blockers that's also a receiving threat. Like,
correct. It's a wide tight end.
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant. Yeah. 10 picks we got to get. We get trenches. Everybody, you guys, all these,
10 picks. There's 10 picks.
Everybody wants. It's like we're gonna do a Texas draft here. Everybody wants.
Yeah, right. Just draft all the Longhorns, right? Would be the worst idea in the world.
Yeah, really.
Right. They got 7 Longhorns.
All right. You ready to move on from?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I agree. I do prefer, but don't stray away from BPA, guys. Is where we get in trouble.
That's the combination. And if I may say, just to bring that up, if I put DB instead of the trenches and defensive back, either way you slice it, first, second, third pick, and if they get that extra pick in there before the 4th round, so 3, if they can get 4 picks in the top 98, that would be absolutely outstanding. But I agree very much so.
Yeah. Savion, we'll get.
That's exactly that. That's the home 98 to 115 for Savion.
He can even go a little higher than that. He's almost up. He's
You trade up for him. You move up. I'll tell you this, and look for this. If they want to move up from like 98 to 80 and give one of them 4ths, fine by me to get a playmaker who could put points on the board. And we'll talk about Savion. We'll talk. Yeah. I would trade up for Savion.
Yeah, we both. Yeah, so would I. We both are big fans of his. And the more tape I watch, the more I like. All right, Trey Harris.
You take Trey.
Okay, so somebody mentioned Scotty. I think you wanted an X receiver. Here's your X receiver. Where he excels at, right? Where Trey Harris excels at is his ability at the catch point. It's as good maybe as anybody in this draft. It reminds me of like Malachi Starks' ability at the catch point on defense. He kind of has that on offense. He's a red zone target, rule savvy, sells his routes well. Again, another guy who tracks the ball really well downfield. I mean, he's not a home run, but he does make big plays. Like, don't get it wrong, Jason. He averaged 18 yards per catch. He does have big playability. His tape versus LSU, put it on, 153 yards. His Peach Bowl performance versus Penn State, 134 yards. He shows up in big games, Jason.
100% clutch performer. Very good. Could be in third down and red zones in the NFL. Very muscle, he'll body a defender out of the way to get up to get the ball. So I like his physicality. He's a good blocker too. Like, he's like a really good blocker if you like that intangible in a wide receiver. So he's a steady second round guy. He's like literally perfect second round in that 40 to 60 area. 100% second rounder.
I like him. And you mentioned blockers.
There's a couple of guys in this draft.
There's the next guy here I'm going to talk about.
Really good blockers.
I'm going to talk about the next guy here who I think is a good blocker.
He might be the best.
He's a bulldog. This guy plays like a bully, man. He's a big vertical threat. Loves to work the middle of the field. He blocks like somebody stole his lunch. All right, you know what I mean?
I like that.
He doesn't attack. He takes the action to the corners, but he's also very savvy in his route running ability. Like, he has these subtle moves he makes. He's got high football IQ. Like, there's a poor man's Dez Bryant in here, right? Very poor. Very poor. Like, you're shopping off the dollar menu at McDonald's, poor kind of Dez Bryant. If you squint, I always like to say, if I squint, there's some Dez Bryant. What I mean by is the physicality he plays with. Love his attitude.
Yeah, no, he's another guy that kind of gets position boxing out wise, almost like a basketball player. I like his size, good route runner. And like you said, that intangible of being a good blocker. He might even be the best blocking wide receiver in this class. He can handle the slot. He's outside too. So that versatility makes him a day 2 safe, late second, early third round day 2.
Yeah. If you squint, you got to squint really hard. You got to squint really hard. But if you squint, You see a little bit.
This is probably a guy that Mike McDaniel likes. I'll just say that.
He's probably what he wanted Eric Ezukanma to be. Is this what he? It's what he wanted Eric Ezukanma to be, right?
I mean,
that was Wes Welker's. Wait, that was Wes. Maybe. If I squint to us. So if you squint, two is Josh Allen, is what you're saying. Is that what you're saying, Bob? If you squint, two is Josh Allen. Yeah. So he also he plays at his pace. I kind of like that. He dictates the pace on the field. He sets up the leverage on the DBs. He just brings the action, and I like him. I think McDaniel would like him. He's tough. I don't know where he's going to go. He's an interesting player. I would say day 2. I mean, is
late
98?
Second, early third. I think he gets earlier than that. I think he's in that 50 to 70 range.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of these guys that we're talking about are in this day 2 range, and if one slips into round 4, we'll get into some round 4 guys as we speak.
There are a couple, maybe 1 or 2.
You ready to move on from?
Yep.
All right, everybody can stop now.
There we go.
Wait, hit a like button. Everybody hit the like button before we get to Savion Williams. I want to see subscriptions go up and likes go up because everybody's been waiting for Savion Williams. I'm joking, or I'm not. All right, Jason, we both love this guy. He's both probably on our man crush list for both of us, but I'll let you start.
I'll just start off real quick and I'll let you take over.
Yeah.
I just love this guy's ability to be a weapon. Tall wide receiver, can play outside, can line him up as a running back. He can be a wildcat quarterback, meaning for a guy like Mike McDaniel, if it's 3rd and short, 4th and short, you could absolutely just destroy a defensive coordinator's day with having this kid just change things up. If you never want to use him as a wildcat quarterback, I don't care. I love his receiver ability. I love his ability to run after the catch. Big time offensive powerhouse that I don't think is going to get past the 98th. I really think he's moving up. But like I said earlier, if you trade up a couple of spots for this kid, I'd endorse that wholeheartedly. But I don't think he's getting into round 4.
Yeah, he's fun. He's just fun to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I thought of? I'm like, can he play running back? I'm almost thinking I'm thinking is he just a 6'4", 220-pound? You remember Brandon Jacobs, but not that. As physical, you know what I mean?
Different
that kind of
he's not
right, different. But I mean, the rare size and height at the running back position, you don't really see 6'4" running back. But you watch him, and I'm thinking, dang, I might want to try him at running back because look, he needs wide receiver development, right? And that's not. He's a gadget player, but a big gadget player,
right?
And I think his best football's ahead. His run after the catch ability. He's got work to do, man, but it's just a piece of clay I want to mold at 6'4", 222 pounds, former high school quarterback.
Yes.
Throw the ball 80 yards in the air.
I mean, if you're going to do a fun play where you're doing almost like a reverse, you pitch it back, he has the ability to throw it. Just imagine Ronnie Brown as a righty. You're not going to throw it from the left side. Just remember that, obviously, the Wildcat game.
Yeah, we would have took him in top 15 that year.
That's exactly right.
Instead of Pat White, this is who
it could be a heck of a fun player to draft as your 3rd or 4th selection if the Dolphins get lucky. If it's their 4th selection, it's a steal. If it's their 3rd selection, I would not hate it.
You bring up a point. You remember what they did this past year with Jalen Wright? They knew they were going to have an extra comp.
They made a trade.
So they gave it away. So this.
Well, they gave away their own pick because they knew they were going to have.
Because you can't trade obviously a comp pick that far in advance because you don't have it yet.
Exactly.
They're projected to get a 4th for.
I think that's not anymore. I think
the 3rd.
I think that what happened with Calais and then Nick.
No, I think Calais allowed it to be actually happen. It's something like that. It's one of the.
I don't know if it's official. We'll see.
Yeah.
But if the Dolphins have an extra,
if they're projecting, they have that, they might. Go up for a trade. That's where you actually get your needs, but you take that extra pick like they did last year and you use it to get the skill position player because you added that extra pick. So this is the type of player, him, a Jalen Noel, or if it's a running back or something, even a quarterback, because they've been sniffing around that middle range. We'll get to next week. Yeah, Jalen Wright, he's trending up.
All of us want him to succeed. All of us want to see him succeed. If he could be that thunder to Devon Achan's lightning, that would be amazing. Yeah, you got to give him the opportunity. You got to give him the burn, though. You got to give him those 10, 15 carries a game. You got to really let him develop. Enough with his non-usage.
Yeah. It's time to play. You know what I mean? It's time to play. I still would like him to take a running back. We haven't even got to the running back section in a couple weeks, but like
with 10 picks,
size,
you can dabble there. You can go into that market.
All right. Fake UT. Jonathan's UT. He's locked in. You would know. They would know over there at the dive bar if he's locked in. All right. So I hope you guys are happy with the Savion Williams stuff. Again, we love him. He'd be fun. He's a unique player. All right.
Absolute firecracker.
That's a. I mean,
you go for it. I mean, look, I'll say this.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll say this. I don't buy the, oh my God, he's not going to be a good pro because of the 40. I don't buy that. He's an outstanding route guy. He's got great hands. He makes contested catches in traffic. I think his skill and his ability to get open supersedes the lack of 40 time. You know what I'm saying? I might know.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
We have Xavier Restrepo on the board.
I don't know.
Their eye emojis come out. I mean,
I don't know.
We don't know. We don't know.
I hope he's not telegraphing right there. But that's a good telegraph right there. But I'm fine with him in terms of the Dolphins take advantage of him day 3 because he fell because of that 40. That would be fantastic. I think it's a disservice to him as a player if he falls to day 3. That would be unfortunate, but it would be kind of cool if the Dolphins take advantage. I like him as a player. I really do. I just don't care.
Yeah, so do I. I know on the dive bar, I had Bobby on my show from the dive bar. He kind of mentioned some things about, he's friends with the people who work out Restrepo. So he wanted to run faster. Who knows if he runs again? But like I told you, if I'm taking Cam Ward, like in the 3rd round or the 4th round, he's still there. That's like he's quarterback friendly, used to him.
You mean for like another team?
Yeah, another team who takes not for the Dolphins, but let's say the Titans take Cam Ward in round 4. He's still available. They're used to each other. This guy's a chain mover. He plays a lot faster than the 4.8 one time he had. He looks like a 4.65, max 4.7. His short area quickness. Another guy who knows how to get open. He's just a chain mover, man. He's thick. He's 5'10", but he's thick. So I'm a fan of his. I'm not worried about the speed. It's like Jarvis Landry speed issues. Sometimes it's going to let this guy fall, and somebody's going to get a really good football player who plays in the league 7 to 10 years and kind of I could see the old New England offense loving this guy, right?
Oh God, I mean, yeah. This would be like a Bill Belichick special kind of player. I feel like, but
he'd be a second round pick for Belichick.
Oh yes, of course. And this is a guy who could if you imagine Hunter Renfro's best season, he was a 100-catch guy. Sure, slot guy, get open, move the chains. Yeah, I like him. He's gonna do well, I think, and surprise and do better than people are talking about that 40 time. I don't think it's gonna be a factor.
Yeah, guys, everybody in the chat's killing it. The chat's been fun tonight. Everybody's been coming in.
Thank you all.
If you're watching anywhere else, come on over here with YouTube. Help us support us here on YouTube. We appreciate that. All right, move on from the local kid. All right, man, I'll start with him. He's interesting, Jason. He's an interesting case study.
Yeah, a case study developmental. There's not a lot of volume there.
High ceiling, developmental, legitimate. Take the top off your defense.
Home run
6'5", 205. You know why I like him a little bit for the Dolphins? It's funny. We need size and length and catch radius on this wide receiver position, but he also meets the Mike McDaniel speed requirement. He's legit. He's legit. Yeah. This is not fabricated 4.30. This guy's legit on tape. He changes the coverage of a defense. He didn't have a lot of targets. Again, football best ahead here with this guy. I think they like him. Keep an eye on him in day 3. Go ahead.
I'm going to throw a name out there just from a tall guy who can move very well and be a deep threat. I know it didn't work out, but there's almost a little Preston Williams vibe here. A little bit of a Preston Williams vibe.
Yeah, much faster than Preston Williams. But that body type of control, Okay.
And there's not a lot of volume work with Thornton.
21.9 yards per catch.
Last year, 25.4. Yep.
Yeah, it's average.
Big play.
Crazy. Do you like it? Where would you be comfortable with him?
Day 3 project.
Round 4, round 5? But do you know what I'm saying is he combines that speed that they like. I mean, how many 6'5", 205 guys run legit 4.30? It's a rare size speed. Guy. Now, his route tree is limited. Like, you know what you're getting, right? But he's legitimate. He could take the top off your defense. It's big. It's big time here. It's rare. It's a rare size speed combination. I'm willing to take the chance in day 3, round 4, round 5. I'd be willing to take the chance on this kid. I think he's probably somebody they like in that day 3. I wouldn't be surprised, right? Because he's fast as I'll get off. And again,
if they don't address the position and it's day 3, it's that 5th round. They have 2 picks in the 5th round. Yeah.
All right. So all right, this is our last guy. All right, I'm gonna get up to the mic here. I'm gonna get up to the mic, bring it on home. I love me some Isaac Tesla, Man Crush City. All right. So here's what happens. Again, I'll tell you this: you get a group. I like guys who I don't watch a lot of, and then all of a sudden I get introduced the first time to them, and I'm like, wow. Like, man, I'm seeing 7th round. I'm seeing like 7th round stuff, and I'm thinking, there's no way. Then he goes to the combine, and he's first in athletic testing in the wide receivers. Legitimate 6'4", 214, big athlete, big physical slot mismatch, seeks contact, man. And we talked about Higgins and these other guys, McMillan, who are big but don't necessarily have the play strength. Not him. Okay, this guy plays nasty at that position. He doesn't have the most polish. Now get this. He went from Hillsdale College to University of Arkansas. He was a quarterback, dual threat quarterback in high school. And even at Hillsdale, he switched to wide receiver. So the polish is not there. Man, you get him in your building. You develop him. Round 4, I'm willing to go that high. I'm stamping my name on him. I think he's a guy he's going to be better than – his ceiling is higher, and he's going to be better than the position he's ultimately drafted. I know this is a late ad, Jason, but I had to put him in.
No, absolutely. And he's been spiking after that combine performance. Right after he was like kind of off the board, was like in that 200, 300 range. And now he's in the top, 5th round, 5th or 4th round, sure. And he's definitely in that sweet spot. He's that height and speed combination, and he can go up and get it. 39.5 vertical.
And he plays physical.
Yes.
You can play him inside. He's physical. He creates mismatches. Creates mismatches because these smaller DBs, he don't play with them. He'll man up and he'll get the ball. So I'm just a huge fan. Again, he needs to be polished. He needs to be coached up. He doesn't have it. He started playing wide receiver mostly in college. He came from a small school to Arkansas. Love him, man. Crush. Listen, remember this name. I said about this name. I just got a feeling he's going to be one of these guys, a better pro, Jason. Yeah, so that was our wide receiver group. We went through how many? We went through about 15 of these guys, Jason.
Yeah.
Tesla, Will, yes, sir. Will, he's a dog. I'm telling you, I see the same thing. Will, you could probably tell him the guy looks for contact. He's a beast. I love him. Jason, so overall, how likely do you think the Dolphins? Do you think they take one of these wide receivers or even another? Just more guys we didn't mention. Kyle Williams. This is guys we like. Remember, we'll miss a guy or two that'll go in the day 2 or day 3, but we just put about 15 names, or we'll be here for 2 hours if we go over everybody. Where do you see that? Do you think they dip their finger in this wide receiver crop? And if so, how early?
I mean, yes. The short answer is yes. With 10 picks, I think wide receiver is something you need to add. Look, I'm not saying you might lose Tyreek Hill this year, but you might very well lose him next year. So you want to maybe find the running mate to Jalen Waddle this year, work him in, maybe even if it's one of those taller receivers, you work him behind Nick Westbrook, you have him get some snaps. But I think that anywhere from round 3 on is wide receiver time, because the first 2 picks, as I'll agree with what Bobby said, has to be trenches one way or the other. I'll be fine either way.
Scotty says first 3 picks could be all defense. I can see that too. We did that in our mock draft last night. We doubled down on
when Xavier Watts,
GM Dudley do wrong. If you didn't catch that, so check it out. Dudley, we doubled down. He wanted to double down on the D tackles. We solved that position. I agree. It could, and like Daibar says, yeah, it could be at least 2. But yeah, I agree with you. And I think if they do trade and add a pick, like they did last year for Jalen Wright, it could be. I think it's for a skill position player, kind of a Mike McDaniel. Who do you want? Right? It was A-Chain one year. It was Jalen Wright. Like, kind of who do you want? It's waffle. Come on, Jason. It's waffle colored. I don't know. I don't know if I want to know. Oh, yes, like the dive bar. Everybody who's watching, come on over to YouTube, smash that.
Thank you, Bobby.
Like, we appreciate
For sure.
that, Bobby. I think it's Bobby. He's one of the boys in the dive bar here. But yeah, please also go check out their channel. They got big stuff coming up. They are friends of the program. Day one, brothers.
Never heard that.
Yeah, still waiting for my dive bar hat, but that's and I'm willing to pay for it. But if I find it on a boat, I'll also accept that too. Like Jeff Darlington
style, right? But to get back to that real quick, the trenches, defensive back, and wide receiver. If those first 4 picks are that in any combination, I would really be very happy.
Yeah, I mean, look, as of today, Jason's got the hat there.
I'm here for you.
As of today, the whole, it looks like a defensive pick at 13. Like it everything points to defensive tackle, right? Like I just see the way the board will fall. I don't know if the offensive lineman. I initially thought like they got a lot of options in the offensive line, but as we got into this process, Jason, and we've done like mock drafts, like the simulators rankings are probably totally off than ours, but like it gives you a good feel. You might not like the best player on the board where you pick might not be, especially that if you're looking for interior, it might not be there until round 3.
Correct. Well, that's the good thing now. And here's what I see a lot on the social media is when someone's like putting out a mock draft and they put a defensive player and all of a sudden you're neglecting the offensive line. Not necessarily if you pick it in the second round, because you're picking an absolute left guard or swing guard player, not an offensive tackle experiment convert to guard, not reaching on a tackle in which you have to worry about Patrick Paul in a competition and then last year's pick didn't work or this year's pick would get beat out by Paul. The second round is where you can get an absolute left guard or right guard, in which if you pick another position in the first round, you are not neglecting or ignoring the offensive line. You have a better pick for your round value in the second. Yeah. So defense would be a great way to go. First, you said, it's fine.
Like Will says, though, it 48 to 98 is the issue me and Jason have been talking about. Like every mock draft, we need to add a pick in between there. So if that's trading down round 1, again, depending on the board falls, if you can get something in the 60s, you've moved down to the 20s, you get some in the 50s, the 60s, even the 70s, heck, and they add something else in the 4th round or 5th round, you do it. It depends on who's on the board. Because, again, there's that big gap that, look, we talk about we need starters and we have all these picks, but in the top, we have only 3 in the top 98, and the third is 98. So, like, as you go down the draft, theoretically, the chances of getting a starter become less and less. So they got to find a way. You agree with this, Jason, to fill that hole between 48 and 98.
If they don't, day 2 is going to be heartbreaking because those 40 some odd picks in between where the Dolphins are, it's 50 picks. It is, you're going to lose.
Why is he doing this to me? Why is he doing this to me? If I was the GM of yesterday's draft, you would have been one of our guys.
A guy like that is a perfect left guard, right guard situation. James Daniels plays right. Yeah,
you know what we got to do, Jason?
It'd be perfect.
You know what we got to do before the draft? We got to put it together a little I'll put graphics together. We have a few guys we like call it the man crush. I'll put a little heart decoration. You know me and my graphics, little heart decorations. Jason's man crush, George's man. I mean, a lot of them. We have some overlapping ones, but I'll get a little Valentine's Day ish. With the man crush. How's that?
We can do it. We'll let everybody know who we love. 100%. If we haven't already.
Yeah. All right. I think that you want to wrap it up here, Jason. I think everybody who joined us in the chat, the Dive Bar, Scotty, Michael, Will, Finn, Sammy,
thank you, brother.
Everybody who's in it was a fun. Daniel, Will, everybody in the chat. We appreciate it. I always say there's a lot of things you can be doing, a lot of things you can be watching. You put your eyes and our attention to the work we put on here. We appreciate it. No mock draft tonight.
We got one coming up. We'll do one more.
We had fun. We can't do back-to-back. But don't worry. Jason, and we're fighting over final say in that last mock draft. So we'll fight who has final say. I know you guys like our mocks. They like our mocks. We'll definitely do one more. Membo's a dog. It was great. Thank you guys, everybody. Again, if you haven't, hit the subscribe, hit the like button, help support the channel. Shout out to everybody who was in the chat. We really appreciate. We will see you next week. I'll be back Monday. I got a special guest, and also be back Wednesday. Jason and I will be back next Thursday at 8 p.m. with are we doing quarterback, tight end, I believe.
Correct.
Quarterback, and then we'll end it with running backs. And we have some other things lined up before the draft's getting here closer. We're exactly 3 weeks away. So thank you all for joining us tonight. We really appreciate and supporting the channel. As always, guys, we are out.